Imagine this: the very story that has shaped how we see ourselves, our origins, our purpose, and our relationship with God, might not be entirely as we've been taught. What if Adam and Eve, the first humans in the Garden of Eden, were not the very first humans to ever walk the earth? This thought may sound shocking, even heretical to some, but the evidence, both scientific and spiritual, invites us to ask, could there have been humans before Adam and Eve? Could our origin story be more intricate than we ever imagined? Why is it that the Genesis story, which has been the cornerstone of religious teachings for millennia, may not be the absolute truth about our beginnings? Could there be something, hidden for centuries, that has never been revealed? Or maybe, just maybe, our understanding of the world, of humanity, and of our Creator has been limited by the constraints of a single narrative. The more we dive into the realm of archaeology, genetics, and theology, the more we uncover. Is it possible that the true story of humanity has been buried beneath layers of tradition, waiting to be rediscovered? In this video, we are going to explore the fascinating idea that humanity's origins might not start with Adam and Eve. Together, we will uncover the groundbreaking discoveries that suggest humans existed long before this pair ever entered the Garden of Eden. You'll learn about Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and other ancient human ancestors, beings who walked the earth millions of years ago. Through a combination of biblical stories and scientific discoveries, we will seek a deeper understanding of our past and how it aligns with God's eternal plan. We will also dive into the hidden depths of spiritual meaning, revealing how the Genesis account might be less about the literal creation of humanity and more about the awakening of human consciousness, the moment when we began to recognize our relationship with God. By the end of this video, you'll understand how this revelation could change everything you thought you knew about human origins. If this resonates with you, or if it sparks a new curiosity in your heart, please share your thoughts with us in the comments. Do you believe there were humans before Adam and Eve, or does this challenge the foundation of your faith? Don't forget to like and subscribe to continue this journey of discovery and reflection with us. The truth we uncover together will shape not only our understanding of the past, but how we live our lives in the present, with purpose, faith, and hope in the Creator's divine plan. As we stand at the crossroads of faith and science, it's important to ask, how do we understand the origins of humanity? We've all heard the story of Adam and Eve, the first humans placed in the Garden of Eden and tasked with the sacred responsibility of living in harmony with God's creation. But what if there's more to our story than we've been taught? What if there were humans before Adam and Eve, walking this earth long before the time of the first sin, long before the knowledge of good and evil? Many scholars, scientists, and theologians have grappled with this question. Fossil records and genetic data suggest that humans evolved over millions of years, yet the Bible presents Adam and Eve as the first humans, the beginning of humanity's story. But what does this mean for those of us who believe that both science and faith can coexist? Can we accept the idea that our origins are more complicated, more wondrous than we've ever realized? The possibility of pre-Adamite humans challenges the very foundation of how we view ourselves, our purpose, and our place in God's creation. And it is in this intersection of faith and discovery that we begin to see the deeper truths of our existence. If humanity's origins extend beyond Adam and Eve, it changes the way we look at our own spiritual journey and the way we understand God's relationship with us. Consider the story of the early humans like Homo habilis and Homo erectus. These species existed long before the emergence of Homo sapiens, before Adam and Eve. These ancient beings, whose fossils are scattered across the earth, were our ancestors. And yet, we often overlook them in our understanding of creation. Why? Because we've focused so heavily on the Genesis account as a literal history. We've been taught that Adam and Eve were the first human beings, the ones who set the course for humanity. But the more we learn from the discoveries of modern science, the more we realize that the story of human origins is far more complex, far more miraculous than we have imagined. These discoveries tell us that humans didn't just appear out of nowhere. Instead, we evolved over millions of years through a process guided by God. The question becomes, if Adam and Eve weren't the first humans, then what was their role in the grand design of creation? Was their creation a pivotal moment in human spiritual awakening, where we began to understand our relationship with God in a deeper way? This is where the story takes on new meaning. The idea that Adam and Eve were the first to truly know God, the first to walk with Him and experience His love, places them at the center of our spiritual awakening, not just the beginning of human existence. If we accept that there were humans before Adam and Eve, it doesn't negate the Bible's teachings. Instead, it deepens our understanding of what it means to be human. We are not just the result of a single moment in time, but a part of a much larger divine plan that spans across eons. And just as Adam and Eve were given the choice to walk with God, we too are given that choice today. Every decision we make, every step we take, is an opportunity to awaken to the presence of God in our lives. But what does it mean for us spiritually? When we look at Adam and Eve not as the literal first humans, but as the symbolic representatives of humanity's spiritual awakening, we realize that their story is not about our biological origins. It's about our relationship with God. Adam and Eve's journey represents humanity's journey toward understanding our divine purpose, our connection to God, and our capacity to choose love and goodness over sin and selfishness. This spiritual perspective transforms the Genesis account from a literal historical record into a profound allegory about the awakening of human consciousness and our spiritual evolution. And as we recognize that we are part of a much larger spiritual narrative, we also realize that our actions today are part of that story. Just as Adam and Eve were placed in the Garden of Eden with a choice, we too are placed in this world with a choice. Will we walk with God, or will we turn away? One of the most powerful truths we can learn from this perspective is that our purpose is not tied to a single point in time or a specific moment in history. Our purpose is tied to our relationship with God, and that relationship is eternal. Whether we are the first humans in the garden or the most recent generation walking this earth, our purpose remains the same: to love God, to reflect His image, and to walk in His light. As we journey through this life, it's important to remember that our spiritual evolution is just as important as our biological evolution. We are not just physical beings, we are spiritual beings, created in the image of God, with the capacity for love, wisdom, and compassion. The story of Adam and Eve invites us to embrace our spiritual potential, to awaken to the presence of God in our lives, and to choose to live in harmony with His will. In the same way that our ancestors walked the earth millions of years ago, we too are part of this grand story of creation. We are not disconnected from the past, we are connected to it, just as we are connected to each other and to God. And as we look back on our origins, we see not just the biological evolution of humanity, but the spiritual evolution of God's people. This journey is one of discovery, one of awakening, and one of healing. The more we learn about the origins of humanity, the more we realize that God's plan is far more intricate and beautiful than we could have imagined. It is not bound by time or space, but spans across the ages, drawing us closer to Him with every step we take. As we continue to explore the story of humanity's origins, let us do so with hearts full of gratitude and awe. We are part of something much greater than ourselves, a divine plan that is still unfolding. And as we walk through this world, we are called to reflect God's love, to choose His ways, and to share His truth with the world around us. In the end, the story of Adam and Eve is not just about the first humans, it's about all of us. It's about our journey of spiritual awakening, our relationship with God, and our purpose in His grand design. What if we could see our lives through this lens? What if we could see our struggles and triumphs as part of this eternal journey, guided by God's hand? And as we embark on this journey of understanding, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe that the story of Adam and Eve is purely symbolic, or do you still see it as a literal account of our origins? I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections on this fascinating topic. If this video has inspired you, brought you closer to understanding your spiritual path, or helped you see humanity's origin story in a new light, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Every moment we share in discovery is a step toward understanding the greater truths of our existence. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and may God's light guide you always. The journey through the story of humanity is a profound one, especially when we begin to consider the scientific evidence that suggests humans have been around far longer than we've been led to believe. The idea that humanity's origins may extend beyond the Genesis account is one that challenges much of what we have traditionally believed. But in doing so, it opens the door to a much deeper and richer understanding of our place in the world and in God's divine plan. As we explore the evidence of pre-Adamite humans, we are faced with a choice: to view these discoveries as a threat to our faith, or as an invitation to deepen our understanding of God's eternal wisdom. The Bible speaks of creation, and the story of Adam and Eve has long been seen as the beginning of humanity. But the discovery of early human fossils, such as Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and even the famous Lucy fossil, challenges the idea that Adam and Eve were the first humans to ever walk the earth. These beings, with their rudimentary tools and ability to walk upright, lived millions of years before the time of Adam and Eve. How do we reconcile these findings with the truth found in Scripture? One of the key points to consider is the idea of God's divine plan. What if the creation story in Genesis is not meant to be taken as a literal history, but rather as a symbolic representation of the awakening of human consciousness? What if Adam and Eve represent the first time that humanity was truly aware of its relationship with God and its capacity for free will? This understanding doesn't diminish the significance of the Genesis account. Rather, it enhances it, revealing a deeper layer of meaning that goes beyond the biological origins of humanity. Imagine, if you will, that the story of Adam and Eve is about the birth of human consciousness, the moment when humanity first recognized its place in God's creation. This isn't just about biology. It's about the awakening of the soul, the understanding of the divine purpose. The fall of Adam and Eve, their choice to eat from the tree of knowledge, symbolizes humanity's awakening to good and evil, to free will, and to the complexities of the human experience. It's in this moment that humanity's true spiritual journey begins. And in this context, the idea of pre-Adamite humans doesn't conflict with the Bible's teachings. It adds depth to our understanding of how humanity evolved, not just biologically, but spiritually. If we are willing to look at the Genesis story through this lens, it becomes clear that the story is not about the first humans, but about the first humans who understood the nature of God and the choices that come with being made in His image. This perspective allows us to embrace both the scientific evidence that points to the long evolutionary history of humanity and the spiritual truth that God has always been at work in the world, guiding us toward a greater understanding of His love and plan for us. In fact, this is where we see the intersection of science and faith most clearly. Modern science tells us that humans evolved over millions of years, and yet the Genesis story still holds deep spiritual truth. God's plan for humanity was not a sudden act of creation, but a long and purposeful unfolding. The evidence of pre-Adamite humans shows us that God was at work in the world long before the time of Adam and Eve. He was guiding humanity's evolution, preparing the world for the moment when His creation would be ready to recognize Him and choose to walk with Him. And that is where the story of Adam and Eve takes on its full meaning, not as a simple creation narrative, but as the story of humanity's spiritual awakening. As we reflect on these discoveries, it becomes clear that God's work in the world is far more complex and beautiful than we ever imagined. From the first humans to the present day, He has been at work, shaping us, guiding us, and leading us toward a greater understanding of His love and purpose for our lives. And just as Adam and Eve made the choice to walk with God, we are given that same choice today. Every day, we are invited to choose love, to choose goodness, and to choose to walk with God. The evidence of pre-Adamite humans calls us to embrace a deeper understanding of who we are and where we come from. It invites us to recognize that our story is part of a much larger narrative, one that spans across time, one that is intricately woven into God's divine plan for creation. The question we must ask ourselves is not whether Adam and Eve were the first humans, but what it means for us today to live in accordance with God's plan, to embrace our spiritual evolution, and to walk in the light of His truth. When we look at the story of humanity through the lens of spiritual evolution, we see that our purpose is not simply to exist, but to become more fully aware of who we are in God's eyes, to become more fully aligned with His will for our lives. Every moment we choose to live in accordance with God's love is a step toward realizing our true potential. And the story of Adam and Eve, when seen through this lens, becomes not just the story of two individuals, but the story of all of us, a story of awakening, of choosing God, and of becoming the people He created us to be. This realization has profound implications for how we live our lives today. Just as Adam and Eve were given the freedom to choose, we too are given that freedom. We are free to choose love, free to choose goodness, and free to choose to walk with God. And it is in these choices that we find our true purpose. The evidence of pre-Adamite humans challenges us to see ourselves as part of a much larger journey, one that spans across time and is rooted in the eternal love of our Creator. So as we consider the evidence and reflect on the spiritual truths found in Scripture, let us remember that we are not alone in this journey. We are part of something much greater, an unfolding story of divine love and grace. Just as Adam and Eve were called to walk with God, we are called to do the same. And as we choose to walk in His light, we are not only deepening our understanding of the past, but we are also shaping the future, living in alignment with God's eternal plan. The story of humanity is not a static one. It is an ongoing journey of discovery and transformation. It is a story of awakening, of choosing to live in harmony with God, and of becoming who He created us to be. And as we walk this path, we can take comfort in the knowledge that God is with us every step of the way, guiding us toward greater understanding, greater love, and greater purpose. In light of these revelations, I invite you to share your thoughts with us. Do you believe that the story of Adam and Eve is purely symbolic, or do you still see it as a literal account of our origins? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you feel that this video has brought value to your life, or if it has helped you connect with a deeper sense of purpose, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Together, we can continue to explore the mysteries of our faith, uncovering the profound truths that will guide us toward a greater understanding of God's love and His plan for humanity. As we venture deeper into the idea that humanity's origins may extend beyond the story of Adam and Eve, we must recognize a profound and transformative realization. Our understanding of creation, of who we are, and of our relationship with God is not a static, unchanging tale. Rather, it is a dynamic, evolving journey, filled with layers of meaning and insight that continue to unfold through the ages. The discovery of pre-Adamite humans, those who walked the earth long before the first garden was cultivated, challenges us to rethink what we have always believed about ourselves. But it is through this rethinking that we find a more holistic understanding of God's creation, a deeper connection to the divine, and a clearer vision of our purpose. Reflecting on the biblical story of Adam and Eve through this lens invites us to see the narrative not just as an account of two individuals, but as the universal tale of all humanity, an awakening to the knowledge of good and evil, to the spiritual consciousness that defines us as beings created in God's image. The story of Adam and Eve, in this sense, is not merely a history of the first humans, it is an allegory of every human soul awakening to its Creator. It's the moment when humanity began to truly understand its relationship with God and with one another. That awakening was not a singular, isolated event, but rather the beginning of an ongoing spiritual evolution, a journey that we, as descendants of this divine lineage, are still on today. But let's take a moment to explore the meaning of this awakening in the context of pre-Adamite humans. If we accept that other beings existed before Adam and Eve, we must also recognize that their existence was not an accident, nor were they purposeless in God's grand design. They too were part of His creation, preparing the way for the spiritual awakening that would come with the emergence of Adam and Eve. They may not have had the same awareness of God, the same understanding of good and evil, but they were living creatures of God, shaped by His hands, just like us. We see this spiritual awakening echoed in the story of Adam and Eve. Their disobedience in the garden, their choice to eat from the tree of knowledge, marks the beginning of their spiritual awakening. But it also highlights a profound truth: awareness of the world around us, awareness of our own identity, and awareness of God's divine will is not something that happens instantaneously. It is a process. Just as Adam and Eve's understanding evolved, so too has ours. Our awareness of good and evil, of right and wrong, is part of our spiritual evolution, a journey that takes place in the deepest recesses of our hearts and souls. This realization offers us a deeper connection to the humanity that came before us. The pre-Adamite humans were not a mistake, nor were they a separate, lesser species. They were, in their own way, part of the divine plan, God's preparation for the spiritual awakening that would come with Adam and Eve. And as we reflect on their place in history, we also recognize that we too are part of this ongoing journey of spiritual evolution. We are not the same people we were yesterday, and we will not be the same people tomorrow. Just as humanity evolved over time, so too must we evolve spiritually, growing in our understanding of God's love, grace, and purpose. The journey of Adam and Eve is not just their story, it is our story. We are walking that same path of spiritual awakening, choosing daily to walk with God, to reflect His love in the world, and to align our lives with His will. The concept of pre-Adamite humans invites us to expand our understanding of God's work in the world. It challenges us to see the divine not as something static, but as something that evolves with us, guiding us every step of the way. Just as the world around us has evolved and changed, so too has the divine plan for humanity. God's purpose for us is not fixed in time, but is a living, breathing story, one that continues to unfold through the generations. And we are a part of that story. As we move forward in our understanding of humanity's origins, we must also reflect on the spiritual implications of this knowledge. If there were humans before Adam and Eve, if humanity's journey of awakening began long before the Genesis account, what does that mean for us today? How does this awareness shape the way we live our lives, the way we understand our purpose, and the way we relate to God? The answer lies in the realization that we are part of a much larger narrative, a story that spans across time and is filled with the divine wisdom of our Creator. Our lives are not separate from this story. They are integral to it. The choices we make, the way we live, and the way we choose to walk with God are all part of the divine plan that has been unfolding since the beginning of time. This knowledge, this deeper understanding of our spiritual journey, brings with it a sense of healing and peace. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, that we are part of a divine plan that stretches across the ages. Whether we are facing personal trials or moments of doubt, we can take comfort in the knowledge that God is with us, guiding us, and leading us toward a deeper understanding of His love and purpose. As we embrace this journey, we are invited to walk with God, to choose love, and to reflect His light in the world. The evidence of pre-Adamite humans challenges us to see ourselves not just as biological beings, but as spiritual beings created in the image of God, evolving toward a deeper understanding of His will. And as we walk this path, we are reminded that God's love is always with us, guiding us through the twists and turns of life and leading us toward the ultimate goal of spiritual awakening and union with Him. The lessons we can learn from the story of Adam and Eve and from the evidence of pre-Adamite humans are profound and transformative. They remind us that our journey is not about the destination, but about the steps we take along the way. It is a journey of growth, of awakening, and of becoming the people God created us to be. And as we continue on this path, let us remember that we are never alone. God is with us, guiding us every step of the way. As we reflect on the past and look forward to the future, we are called to embrace the fullness of our humanity, to walk in the light of God's love, and to reflect that love to the world. The evidence of pre-Adamite humans is not a challenge to our faith, but an invitation to deepen our understanding of God's divine plan. It is a reminder that we are part of a much larger story, one that stretches back to the very beginning of time and will continue for all eternity. And as we walk this journey together, may we do so with hearts full of gratitude, love, and purpose. As we reach the conclusion of this journey through the origins of humanity, I am struck by how much we are all intertwined in this grand tapestry of life, history, and divine purpose. We've explored how the creation story in Genesis might not be the literal history we've always believed, but a profound allegory that speaks to the spiritual awakening of humanity. We've uncovered the mysteries of pre-Adamite humans, whose existence challenges the conventional narrative, and we've seen how science and faith can come together in a deeper understanding of God's eternal plan. In considering the idea that humanity's story extends beyond Adam and Eve, we have unearthed not only scientific evidence, but a spiritual truth. Humanity's journey is far richer than we've been led to believe. It's not simply a biological narrative, but one deeply rooted in our spiritual awakening. The awakening of Adam and Eve, the moment they gained knowledge of good and evil, is symbolic of humanity's continual journey toward greater awareness, greater understanding of God's will, and greater connection to His divine love. Their story is not just about their fall, but about the rise of human consciousness, a rise that has continued through the ages and continues today. As we reflect on these profound truths, we are reminded that our journey is not defined by our past, but by the choices we make each and every day. Adam and Eve made a choice, one that shaped the course of human history. But we too are given that same choice. Will we choose to walk in God's light? Will we choose to align our lives with His will? Our spiritual journey is not one of perfection, but of progress, of awakening to His presence, of understanding our divine purpose, and of becoming the people God created us to be. It's easy to feel lost in the complexities of life. We live in a world full of distractions, doubts, and challenges that often cloud our vision of what truly matters. But in moments like this, when we reflect on the deeper meaning of our origins and the divine love that has been guiding us from the very beginning, we find peace, we find hope, we find the courage to keep walking even when the path seems uncertain. And that's the beauty of this journey. We are never alone. God's love is always with us, leading us toward a deeper understanding of who we are and what we are meant to become. In this space of healing and growth, I want to invite you to continue this journey with me. If you've found value in this video, if it has touched your heart, healed your spirit, or opened your mind to new possibilities, I ask for your support, your engagement, whether through a simple like, a thoughtful comment, or subscribing to this channel, allows us to continue this sacred work together. Every word of encouragement, every act of kindness is a blessing to me. If you feel that this video has brought light into your life, I invite you to share this energy with me so that I can continue to create more videos filled with God's wisdom and truth. Your support, no matter how small, is invaluable to me, and together we can continue to share the light of Christ with the world. And as you reflect on these insights, I want to encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. How has this video changed the way you view your own spiritual journey? Do you see the story of Adam and Eve in a new light? Let's continue this conversation as we support each other in our walk with God. Every step we take, every choice we make, brings us closer to understanding the depths of God's love and His eternal plan. As we go through life, we will encounter challenges, but we can face them knowing that God is with us every step of the way, guiding us toward our highest potential. Just as He has been guiding humanity through the ages, He is here, guiding us now, helping us understand our place in His divine creation. As you go forward, I pray that you find peace in the knowledge that you are a beloved child of God, that your journey has meaning, and that you are part of something much greater than yourself. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for being here, for watching, and for walking this path with me. Your presence is a reminder that we are all part of a divine story that is still unfolding, and together we can help each other grow in love, faith, and understanding. May God bless you abundantly, may His light shine upon you, and may you continue to walk in His grace. Your journey is far from over, and with God by your side, you will always find the strength to keep going. Thank you again, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you in the next video.